Hey there ladies and gentlemen, Lord Quode here, and welcome back to another video. How's Call of Duty Modern Warfare? So, before I even start this video, I'm just preface this with the fact that I am not a Call of Duty player. The last Call of Duty that I purchased and owned was Call of Duty World at War for the Xbox 360. So before we go any further, if you are a Call of Duty fan and have purchased all of the Call of Duties from the past few years, please know that my experience and my observations are not going to be based on any of the previous games. Although I do consider myself a spectator of the Call of Duty League, the CWL, now going to be the CDL. I have not purchased the game, nor have I played the game at a regular rate since around 2000 and whenever that was, that World at War came out. So I'm not going to proclaim to be a Call of Duty expert or anything along those lines. That being said, because most of my gameplay is spent on FPSs such as Insurgency, such as Sandstorm, such as CSGO, such as Siege, such as like tons of other different shooters out there, Battalion even, I really appreciate what this Call of Duty, what Modern Warfare has. I really appreciate what Modern Warfare has, and I'm going to go ahead and start listing it off here now. I appreciate the fact that there are a lot of different game modes. One of the hardest things to do with a game is make sure that you have modes that attract different types of players. There's one thing that I'm going to give Call of Duty credit on because they have their casual modes, which are the TDM, the HQ, and even the big ground war game. And they also have modes that really cater to competitive people, like Search and Destroy, the Cyber Attack, the Hardpoint, and I would even go forward and say the Domination, especially on the the 5v5 arena. I am pleased, very much so, that they have maps for all of these modes, and these maps are built pretty well, both in terms of the spawns and in terms of the objective layout. What a lot of people seem to really dislike, based on feedback I've seen on my stream and based on things I've been told like over just Discord while grinding with other players, is that a lot of people feel like the maps are too complex or they're too dirty, too conjointed, or whatever the phrasing they use is. And I have to disagree. When you compare the map design of this Call of Duty, of Modern Warfare, with something like CS has very, very bare, very, very small maps in terms of like the amount of cover you have. But it's balanced by the fact that the character models are relatively small. In Modern Warfare, the character models are relatively large. And I'm not trying to say that the character models are easy to hit, but they kind of are. And that makes sense because the game is built for console play. You kind of need cover when moving from space to space in this game because of the aim assist that controller users have. If there wasn't any sort of cover to kind of mitigate those long lines of sight, I feel like controller players would dominate with aim assist. I actually plugged in my controller for a short time to kind of see what the recoil difference was like, and I can say that honestly, pre-aiming with a controller is the most OP thing in Call of Duty that I've experienced in a long time in a shooter. I personally still prefer playing keyboard and mouse, but I'm really impressed that the map design cultivates both PC players and console players to use their skill sets in their best manner. The only difference is, like, if you're a controller player, you're not going to be able to just sit back and camp because a PC player is going to have better aim and better snap, so they're going to be able to jiggle a little faster. That being said, PC players get destroyed in the medium to short range engagements whenever they have a lot of fast moving targets because of the lack of aim assist, and there is a suitable amount of recoil. So I have to say that I really like not only the variety of the game modes and the map design, but I love the way how that map design caters to the actual game mechanics. Some of the maps aren't really that good, I don't think. Like, I'm not gonna lie, not every map is perfect. There's a lot of different styles of maps, but the maps that I felt were the best built, at least from a search and destroy perspective, or even like a domination perspective, were maps like Hackney Yard, Shipping, and I'm trying to remember what the other one was. I think it's called Grazna Raid, I think it is. I love those maps. I feel like they have open lanes, they have really good center builds, and they have just a really good flow across the verticality portions of the map. But yet there's not so much verticality that makes it impossible to like check the angles as you're trying to move from place to place. The pace of the game is definitely slower than what I was expecting from a Call of Duty, but not in a bad way. Like, the movement, it feels heavy yet satisfying, and the kills feel really satisfying. I think that the load time to kill is balanced out by the fact that you can pretty much instantly respawn on the respawn game modes, and in Search and Destroy and Cyber Attack, the movement feels perfect. It really feels good. I think of all of the games I've played recently, Call of Duty probably has like the best combination of movement to gunplay ratio that I've had in a while. But moving on from the general gameplay aspects of Modern Warfare, I do want to go into detail about the specific modes that I'm loving. which are primarily cyber attack and search and destroy. Search and destroy is kind of a given, right? That's the sweat mode. That's the first to six, the classic round 11s. If it's a 5-5, you have to play a tiebreaker. You know, you switch every 3 rounds. You switch attack and defend. 1 life. Really enjoy it. Really tactical. And when I say tactical, I don't mean slow paced. There are some rounds where it is a very fast paced round, and the game mode can be as fast as you make it. But it's just all the variety of strategies that people implement, and you can tell that the better aimers tend to play that mode. I love it. I truly love it. It's a lot of fun. Cyber attack, I have mixed feelings about it because on one hand, it has that interesting, both teams are playing for the bomb every single round. Both teams have to defend the bomb if they capture it every single round, because it's possible for the bomb to change hands and for one team to plant and then the other team recapture the bomb, so to speak, and then deliver it back to the other bomb site. That's an interesting element. The other element that's interesting is the revive system, which is, I believe cyber attack is the only game mode that has this, where you can actually revive your teammates like you're playing something from Battlefield. And I kind of like it in a way. On paper, it's unique, and I've actually had a lot of great moments playing the mode. The only thing I really don't think is balanced about it is the fact that there are an unlimited number of revives, which means that if you're playing, let's say you're playing solo, right? And you're playing against the 5-stack, and they know how to trade and all this stuff like that. The mode devolves from being an objective-based game mode to just like a kill-centric game mode. Like, it's a kill-centric game mode where there's really only like 2 points of interest, that being the spawn point, where the bomb spawns on the map, and then your base, because what it turns into is like just a trade game where you basically try to kill the enemy team, revive your teammates before the enemy players can like rotate or flank, and then you keep just endlessly have a man advantage. Doesn't really give a lot of opportunity for pure objective-based gameplay. It'd be a lot better if they could limit to where every player gets like 1 revive per round. I think that would be a good way to balance that out. I think it would also help remove some of the body camping that you see from like the players who have already kind of picked up how to play cyber attack. Like I said about just trading for kills and then reviving your teammates, part of that, what goes along with that, is just camping the bodies of your dead enemies and making sure that the dead enemy players can't revive their teammates. And I don't know, it doesn't really cultivate good gameplay in my opinion. And honestly, man, what can I say? I'm almost level 50 already, so my thoughts aren't even fully coalesced because I've been putting so many hours into the game, just trying to learn the maps, trying to get the flow of the rotations and everything like that. But I am having a blast with Modern Warfare, man. The Lord hasn't enjoyed this kind of game in a long ass time, and I'm just tickled. I'm just tickled. The weapons feel good. Pretty much every weapon feels viable. A lot of people are noticing that some weapons are like noticeably stronger than others, but even with that being said, pretty much every single weapon in the game is viable right now, at the casual level especially. And that's a great thing in a Call of Duty game, because history has taught us that Call of Duty usually has one original OP gun, and that original OP gun dominates the casual sphere for a good while until either the competitive scene bans it or the developers finally fucking fix it. This game doesn't have that, and man, it feels good. It really does. I love being able to pick my FAMAS and just fucking one burst people in the head and then chain that into like a 3K. I love being able to pull out the M4, just spray down an entire hallway full of people, and then be able to switch to the MP5 and do the same thing all over again. There's so much fun in this game, so many just moments that feel good, and like there's hardly any like hit reg issues, or really not a lot of lag issues, to be honest. Even against some players who have really shitty internet, it's very rare that I've come across somebody who's like unkillable, and that's great, honestly. That's probably the best part about playing Modern Warfare. The hit reg feels so fucking good, and like the gunplay just fits the movement so well. I'll have to go into more detail at some other time, but just know that I'm loving the balance in the game right now and loving all the different options. I am going to go ahead and say that right now, I'm not sure what my experience is going to be like as I start delving more into the respawn modes, because I've really spent most of my time grinding the search and destroy and the cyber attack game modes, but I do know that eventually I need to get into the domination and hardpoint, because those are going to be modes that are important for me as I start kind of migrating my focus into explaining different game modes and breaking them down. And on that note, because there's so many different game modes, I kind of want to ask you guys to help me out as far as like what game modes you'd be interested in knowing more about in terms of like how to play it, because it's kind of what I want to do. I want to kind of make some videos that talk about the best way to approach different modes from both like a solo standpoint as well as like a team standpoint, That way I can give different breakdowns on play styles and the way that the team needs to work, and maybe what would be good for you, a good mindset to have, things along those lines. But I need to know which game mode people be more interested in. That way I can do that one first. I know that some people don't like cyber attack. I know that some people don't like search and destroy. So my main focus for here, put out the most interesting video first, and then kind of focus on that, hone that mode, make sure that I understand it in and out, and then move on to the next, because I know that eventually I'm gonna have to cover all of the modes, except for Ground War. I'm just gonna say it right now, don't ask me to cover Ground War. I'm not a fan of Ground War, and that's gonna be a mode I don't cover whatsoever. Also, don't ask me to really cover realism. I've stated this in the past, my channel, myself as a player, I am not a role-play milsim type of player. When I think of tactical, I don't think of role-playing milsim. When I think tactical, I think more competitive. I think more timing versus execution versus chemistry. That sort of interaction. I don't feel like the realism modes, the night modes, I don't feel like those are going to do anything for me, because from what I've played of them, they devolve into very, very boring, like, snooze fest, and I'm not willing to play that and give feedback on that. So again, I am going to be dropping videos that go into more depth and have a little bit more structure behind them in the future, but just know that I am enjoying this game, guys. I will be streaming this game probably later today, to be honest, when this video goes live. And I just am looking forward to getting past the honeymoon phase of my gameplay. That way I can really focus on breaking down the game for you guys. So make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitch. And I will see you guys next video. Make sure you guys rest well, recharge, and enjoy peace of mind. Later.